The Todd Shapiro Show.
Time to hit the button!
On Canada Talks, SiriusXM 167.
All right, this is exciting, man. My friends from Namaste Technologies. We do weekly chats with our friend Darren Gill. Hey, Darren, how are you?
Good, man. Good. How's it going?
Good. And joining us today, and this is quite nice, interim CEO of Namaste Technologies, Meni Morim. How you doing? I'm saying your name right, Meni?
No, but you can roll with that. It's Meni.
Meni. Okay, you know I'm so sorry about that, Meni. My apologies.
No worries, man.
How are you doing, man?
I'm doing great. Very excited to be on the live radio show. Finally, I've been very jealous of Darren.
Dude, you're the intern CEO. You're welcome anytime.
Thank you.
I like how quickly you pushed me aside, Todd.
Darren who? I don't even know what you're talking about. I don't even know that guy, Darren Gill. Whereabouts are you both? So Meni, I'm so sorry. I work with I have another client. I work with Meni 24 karat gold jewelry. Have you heard of this company?
I have not, actually.
Oh, so Meni, and it's also publicly traded stock, as you guys are, Namaste, and it's just under the ticker symbol N, but they are MENE, so I think that's why that was in, that's sort of what comes out for me, Meni, which means actually money in Arabic.
Oh, great. Well, we can change my name to that. No worries.
Money, baby. Meni or money. So how are things going over at Namaste Technologies, gents?
I think it's been a great few weeks. We've been trying to work through some of these changes with the edible regulations finally starting to stabilize. So Health Canada this last week announced what seeming like is going to be the final rules. So a couple interesting updates around that, since we've chatted about it a few times, is the regulations will still come into effect October the 17th, which is kind of what we'd all been hoping for and working towards. But it looks like now, in order to fill up the distribution channels, get product into the government and ultimately onto store shelves, they're forecasting a mid-December timeframe. So if nothing else, it buys us some more time to ensure that things are ready to go.
And Meni, we often hear the word sort of AI and artificial intelligence and stuff. And how does AI and cannabis come together?
That actually connects really well to the example that Darren just gave in regards to edibles. We can use that to clarify how that comes into play, and I'll use a parallel to try and explain this. Essentially, what AI, artificial intelligence, tries to do is to mimic human intelligence, which is currently one of the things that brick and mortar has an advantage on versus e-commerce. So let's use a parallel and clarify that. Let's think that you go into a physical store and you're looking for a pair of running shoes. You go to the salesperson, or a salesperson comes to you and says, "Hey, how can I help you?" And you say, "I'm looking for a pair of running shoes." The salesperson asks you, "What size are you? What's your favorite color? What's your budget? Is there a specific style of running? Would you like to run barefoot or have more cushioning?" And you provide all that information. That salesperson then goes to the back room or to one of the aisles, and they come back with a pair of shoes. Now, if they come back with a pair of yellow shoes that are completely off of what you requested, they're over your budget, they're barefoot and you wanted cushioning, and it's completely wrong, you'd be taken back and say, "What's wrong with you? Why are you showing me these shoes?" Right? Because you expect a human to be able to understand what you're asking for and give you a personalized recommendation that fits your needs.
I apologize for laughing, Meni, but I think of the amount of times I go through Tim Hortons drive-through and I order like an egg wrap and ask for no bacon, and there's like extra bacon on it. So I've learned not to rely on humans very much.
Well, I'm a firm believer that drive-thrus are designed to kind of trick you. Something's always wrong because they know you're away.
Yeah.
And I'm assuming it's part of the perks of the job. We're gonna play with these people
to pass their day by. They're like keeping score inside. I love it. How many did we get today?
Yeah. You're too far. You're not gonna go back.
So, sorry to interrupt. So I would imagine AI helps solve some of this, though.
It essentially replicates the positive personalized experience that you have in a physical store with a human online. And I'll explain the parallel in the same way that you explain what you want to that salesperson, and that salesperson brings you the barefoot running Nikes in your budget. When you go to an e-commerce store, and we already know from previous interactions, whether if it's on our store, if it's on an affiliate site, and we know that, for example, you're looking for edibles versus flour or oil. When you come to the homepage, or even when you go and look at a specific product, there is no reason for us to show you flour if you're interested in edibles. Just to get our heads around this, the Amazon homepage is 70% personalized.
Wow.
If the three of us go to Amazon.com and we're all logged in, it would look completely different for the three of us based on our previous interaction with that site. And that is how Amazon sets the bar for e-commerce shopping. And we leverage the same or similar capabilities within our e-commerce platform to be able to personalize that experience. And how it connects to edibles has to do with the SKU variance or the number of products that we have. The larger the number of products that you have in a store, the discoverability becomes more difficult. And that is where artificial intelligence comes into play. We use algorithmic intelligence to mimic the same human process of understanding what the customer needs and showing them the relevant products to them. So, Todd, you'll see flour, then we'll see oils, and I will see chocolates because that's what I like. And we'll continue fueling that profiling based on behavior. So we all live a busy life and we don't have time. And we need to see, everybody's used to getting what they want right now. And that is another level of service that we offer through our platform using AI. So hopefully that makes a little bit of sense in regards to the value that AI brings.
No, it makes a lot of sense, Meni, and Namaste Technologies, obviously, tech company first, and, like being able to help predict sort of the product that people want. Second, what about education? Can AI help with education in terms of, cannabis still a very new product, obviously just not even a year yet of it being legalized, and people really still trying to understand it. Can it help spot a new consumer and someone that might need, because education is really what we all really want to be focused on here, and I know your company's very great at doing so. Can AI help with that too?
Absolutely. It's in almost the same way, right? Information retrieval, right? Pulling data from a library of articles or a knowledge base of cannabis can be very time consuming. So you might go into a place where there's a vast amount of education regarding cannabis, but how do you distinguish on whether or not I'm a beginner and a novice user, if I'm an expert, if I'm looking again at edibles, oils, concentrates, flour, etc. Am I looking at to understand what THC versus CBD is, etc. All these things are unknown. So again, if you would come to an expert or a bud tender in this respect and ask them questions, they will be able to answer your questions very accurately. So again, in the same way, when you come to a knowledge base of educational content, we are able to leverage the same personalized algorithms to serve you with educational content that matches your needs. If it's beginner or advanced, if it's related to a specific category, etc. So it's actually the exact same concept, and that's an excellent question.
And what's wild about the space, really, and there are, I know a lot of people who are still very new to it, is the amount of information that really still needs to be put out there. And so it's nice to be able to help, I would imagine, a new consumer or sort of a new, a rookie cannabis user, because it's such a new industry. And yes, there was a stigma on it for so long, and that stigma slowly is ending. It's nice to be able to provide an opportunity for some guidance, I would imagine, through Namaste Technologies.
I think an interesting point that Meni touched on there was also as part of our education when folks come and they're looking for a specific product, especially for a first timer. A lot of us talk about symptom-based treatment. So, what are the symptoms that I have that I'm trying to treat? What are the effects that I want to avoid? And ultimately, when you come to a website like ours where we've got, multiple different variants of a product, what's the right product for me? And that's where a platform that, Meni's been a critical part of developing called Uppy, which is an app that allows you to do strain journaling, actually comes in. So you can download this app onto your phone, go through and say, I would like something to help me with my anxiety, but I don't want to feel sleepy or any of the other side effects. And it can actually start to recommend strains based on that. And then it collects your user feedback to help power more of the AI data in the background.
What's funny about it is people, I'm sure in your industry, don't love the comparison necessarily of kind of cannabis and alcohol. But, there is sort of a learning curve in alcohol. And most alcohol drinkers will tell you this. Like, you had your first bad experience at 22 on peach schnapps. So you ruled that out to ever have peach schnapps again. It was too sugary, too big of a hangover. But, for some reason, I did well with Crown Royal. That seemed to bode well better than a vodka for me. And, like, I almost wish, because there's never been anything like that for alcohol. And the way, and that's what I love about the cannabis space emerging. And let's be honest, government regulation ensuring that people are educated about this, that it's sort of a shame that there was sort of a whole other industry that there are reactions that people have to different types of, even a wheat beer over a non-wheat beer or something that like weren't ever talked about. And that's, to me, that's kind of neat being on the pioneering side of this industry, which Namaste Technologies are. It's nice to give back to people that way.
No, definitely. I think it's a critical part of acting social responsibility as well. This is a product that's become deregulated. We've brought it into the mainstream market. And I think as good corporate citizens, which, you look at a lot of LPs are trying to do this, is to make sure that the user has as much information as possible, that they are educated. And this is where, again, at the age of 20, when you drank that peach schnapps, had you had a tool like Uppy where you could go in and say, actually, 100 people have done this and all of them have said it's a bad idea.
I would have been one of those for sure. And that's that's really good to know. That how often Meni and you and your entire team and the tech team sort of always updating the tech side of Namaste Technologies. I mean, is that an arduous continued process?
Oh, now we can start geeking out about this in detail. I think Darren won't be happy with me, but we always look at continuous delivery, and we have release timelines. We update new versions, minor versions of the software on every one of our products around once a week. And if there's anything that needs to happen more frequently, then we have a continuous delivery system that allows us to do that. The main principle that we operate based on is the agile approach, and that means, how do we break down our software to the smallest increments of value that we can possibly build and deliver to our customers? So instead of working for 6 months and then releasing one giant piece of software, we continuously release new features that are smaller and deliver value to customers while we continue working on the rest. So we are committed to delivering value through software releases as frequently as we can without jeopardizing the stability of the product.
Is this something within your tech development on a biz side that other businesses might come and go, hey, Namaste Technologies, I know you're in X space, but we could really use your tech in this space too. How can we work together? Is that are those conversations that might ever be had on a business side, away from kind of the cannabis industry?
It's stuff that comes up, to be honest. We had certain discussions around specific parts of our software stack that are relatively generic. It happens slightly more often on the purpose-built stuff for cannabis. But at this stage, we're not looking to license any of our proprietary software. In the long term, who knows, right? Amazon Web Services came to be out of a necessity at Amazon. They built all those tools for their internal use, and then at some point, they decided to create an independent business unit based on that software, and now it's one of the biggest business units in Amazon. So I'm not disqualifying any of these things in regards to the long-term future, but right now we're very, very focused on leveraging technology to accelerate Namaste's growth.
And how sort of focused is the company on, I would imagine very, very much so, not to answer the question before I ask it, but on sort of security and data breaches and things like this that that is in the news that people sort of fear now?
Of course, this is something that is always very, very important to us. And if we look at GDPR, for example, that's something that we're very closely familiar with. And everything that is done within the company starts with security by design, and making sure that we only collect the information that we require. It's well mapped and controlled, so it's something that is very, very important for us.
Is it ever tough having a big brain? Just dealing with regular people, Meni?
What? No.
I can tell you from personal experience, it's very, very tough dealing with people who have a big brain.
It's like, wait a second, why are you, so brilliant and half robot, and yet I'm just, trying to figure out how to set my alarm clock here.
Yeah, I don't think that the inclination of being closer on the tech side makes me or anybody else smarter or less smart than anyone else. I think that it's just a perception of that. There are a lot of people in the organization that are not technical and are by far smarter than me. I don't think that's
no, it's a wonderful another strength and another asset of the company as a whole, and team and everyone working together obviously creates a great company, which you're doing over there at Namaste Technologies. And I just but I think of it from Darren, I know you have two small children. Meni, do you have small kids?
I have a 2.5-year-old, yeah.
So we're all sort of in the same boat here. And I start to think, and my wife and I have these chats, and I wonder if you would agree. I think that it would be almost more important for my little child, who's 3.5 now, as opposed to learning maybe other languages, to actually learn coding and learn this tech stuff, because this is a language that A, is worldly, and B, clearly not going away.
No, now I'm biased, right? We can talk about this for a long time. Look, software is changing the world. If I quote the Andreessen Horowitz motto, is that software is eating the world. There are very few revolutions in our lifetime that we've seen, the industrial revolution, etc. But where and cannabis is one of the other ones. But the one thing that definitely we can see has changed every single industry today has been technology. And it's been able to change the world in a very positive way. Let's take one of the most basic concepts is enabling people to break out of the poverty circle by learning a skill that is needed globally. There is negative unemployment of software engineers, and that enables the growth of this industry in developing countries, right, in the Far East and Africa. And I think that it is creating a net positive impact on the world. So I absolutely am biased on this point from every possible way. I don't think we should force people to learn how to code if it's not their natural inclination. Some people don't have the natural inclination to code, so we shouldn't force them. But if it's something that our children are interested in, I would definitely support it.
Very, very well said. And another great thing is, and you're a big part of that. Your company is also just job creation, continued job creation, right? Which is both spaces, I think, is really under talked about from the technology side to everything in the cannabis side. But you're really offering, tens of thousands of people across in Canada and America, great jobs in a time where people worry about, jobs.
Exactly, and especially around AI. People are saying, "Oh no, the machines are going to take our work." That's never the case, right? The only thing that is going to happen is that we'll have certain professions or certain jobs that will be less relevant when AI is more prominent, and those people that would either otherwise go to these specific jobs will go and do something else, or even work on AI that would replace these things. There's a constant movement of talent between jobs and industries. AI is not going to eliminate the need for humans, ever.
I'd love to hear that. And the more I've learned about AI and sort of gone away from kind of the conspiracy side of things, which you were, I think you were mentioning is, oh, yeah, they're going to be able to do every job. No, we're always going to need people to program and create the AI. And I mean, do you now we're getting real deep here. I'm starting to feel like we're, one of these late night conspiracy shows where, everyone is smoking a ton of weed and stuff. But do you this is crazy. We only got 5 minutes here, but I might as well ask it because it's top of mind, Meni, if you don't mind. Do you think computers will ever be able to think for themselves?
Oof. That's looking into the future. If we look at the current capabilities that we have, it is very unlikely. And I'll explain why. The way that machine learning works today, it requires data and training. It cannot learn for itself. You have to teach it. For example, the concept of reinforcement learning, right? Or other models of machine learning. A human must provide the machine with both the method of learning and the training data. So I'll give a very simple example. If you the self-driving cars, right? They use computer vision. You need to teach the computer what things are. So let's make it very simple. And if you want to teach a computer to identify a cat, you need to provide the computer with thousands of photos of a cat and tell the computer, this is a cat, this is a cat, this 1,000 times. Think of it as a small child that you're teaching them. Only then would they be able to identify a cat or any other animal. They would be able to tell you cat, not cat. We haven't reached the phase where computers have the capability of training or building the training models themselves and providing themselves with clean training data. So that is not something that we currently can do. If that will happen in the future, it'll be very interesting. But today we don't have that capability.
Interesting. So the automated car one day is like, that is a cat. Oh, I don't like cats. I'm going to not brake here. That type of thing. Like it won't get to that point.
A human would have to teach that to the car and say, you don't like cats. Otherwise, the car won't be able to.
Well, that's scary. Let's hope we don't get those programmers. Unless you're for some reason, someone listening hates cats. But, I don't want to encourage any sort of animals abuse whatsoever at all. So, we're just trying to make light of a situation. I love these chats, Meni. I would love to. Darren, you're still there too, right, Darren Gill?
Absolutely, sir.
I'm a geek inquisitive guy, and you said that word geeking out, so I feel comfortable saying it, but I'm so intrigued by technology, where it's going in the future, AI, and it's so neat to watch, you think, you look at what Namaste Technologies is doing, you're dealing with literally like a plant from, prehistoric times that is now, being accepted in present ones with technology that has continued to, grow in the future, and it all grows together. It's fascinating to learn from both of you, and I do appreciate everything you're doing at Namaste Technologies and sharing this information with us.
Our pleasure. Thank you very much for having us.
Thank you so much to Meni, intern CEO at Namaste Technologies, and Darren Gill and Meni Morim. Thank you so much to the two of you. I can't wait to catch up with you again, hopefully next week.
Take care.
Perfect. Thanks a lot.
Cheers, everyone. Have a great evening.
This is the Todd Shapiro Show on Canada Talks, SiriusXM 167.